We're going to get a huge, huge swing right here back to in our favor. All right, so with that, ping away. That's 3 to your face. Okay, we get to draw some cards here. The drain and gain, everybody. I love this. Oh, man. Beautiful. Look at that. And we're back in action. There's nothing else our opponent can do here. With that, you know what? Swing here for the game. That's it. Easy win. There you go. There you go. Love to see it. Hello, my fiery friends. The Infernoman here with the hottest in budget deck technology. And for today's deck tech, thanks to the most recent sets of both Pioneer Masters, MTG Foundations, and even Dustborn, we have now enough cards to punish our opponents for drawing cards.
I have no soul.
That's right. So without further ado, join me today in the Explorer format for a deck that I am simply calling Draw to Death. But before we continue, if you do like any of the content that I do, please like, follow, and subscribe wherever you watch the content. You can support me monthly for a small amount on Patreon, where I have all of my extended bonus footage posted. We also have a Redbubble spot where you can buy merch like stickers and shirts, or for free, all you can just do also is just join our growing community on Discord. Your support helps keep this channel going. All links are in the details below. Longtime viewers of the channel know how we do it. We have to talk about the stats of the deck before we dive right in. So Draw to Death today is a Rakdos deck that is split down the middle of both black and red. You're looking at an average mana curve about 2.3. That is a little misleading, but you'll see why in just a bit. We're going to be rocking 24 creatures in the deck, 8 instants, 8 sorceries, 8 artifacts, and 20 lands. The gist of the deck is, ideally, we want to play on curve our creatures so we can then put pinger after pinger after pinger to then punish our opponent as they keep drawing cards. And then we're going to finish off our opponent with one major card draw spell where we can either force them to draw cards and lose life, or if they are getting greedy and holding on to all their cards, we can still punish them by doing some massive burn to their face. But you may be asking yourself, what cards were added into the Explorer format from Pioneer Masters to make this possible?
Good question.
Well, I'm glad you asked. So without further ado, let's just jump into it right now and show you what cards I'm talking about. Starting with the 1-drops here, we will have Voldrin Epicure here. You've seen me play this card many times. Just pings our opponent when it enters, creates a blood token for us we can utilize for value later in the game. Clockwork Percussion here is also going to be great because it's an early game threat with its 1/1 hasty little monkey toy. If it does die, we just simply exile the top card of our library to allow us to play it later on for the next turn. In the 2-drop slot, we're going to be also utilizing Blood Tithe Harvester. Same thing, just like the Voldrin Epicure, creates a blood token for us for value. And basically, this card can do pretty much anything we have. It's a great body, just does some early game damage. We can also utilize it for spot removal if we need to later on into the game. And then, of course, one of our penny pingers here. We played this card, of course, also in one of our previous deck techs, but we had to bring it back because it does so much for so little investment. Razorkin Needlehead here is a human assassin. 2/2, has first strike during our turn, but we want it because it just pings our opponent every time they draw a card. So evil. Now, as far as a brand new card that pings our opponent here, we have Scrawling Crawler. So this is a 3-mana 3/2 here. So let's actually talk about this card for just a moment. As I just mentioned right now, it is a 3/2. It's a Phyrexian construct, and it will cost you 3 generic mana. And it says, at the beginning of your upkeep, each player draws a card. Whenever an opponent draws a card, that player loses 1 life. This is great because this is a one-sided pinger for us, so we just can all the value of getting extra cards, while again, we just punish our opponent as they keep drawing those extra cards. And of course, we had to throw it in here, and I'm sure some of you are sick of this card, but it really does synergize perfectly with the deck. The one and only Shieldred here. No! Anytime we draw a card, we will gain life. Every time our opponent draws a card, they will lose 2 life. So it works perfectly synergistic for our game plan. Circling back over to the non-creature spells, we will have, of course, in the 1-drop slot, Duress here. Allows us to hopefully discard a key piece that maybe they are holding on to, or at the worst, we can kind of get a peek at what is going to be coming our way as the game progresses. We're also going to utilize Fatal Push here as our catch-all removal, and it works perfectly well with our game plan here. Synergizes very well with all the sacrificing we'll be doing. Speaking of sacrifice, we can also utilize those blood tokens with Deadly Dispute here, or if we have to in a pinch, we can sacrifice other key creatures we don't need anymore, such as extra Voldrin Epicures or a Clockwork Percussionist to get some more card advantage. And of course, the main star of the show, and this is again an amazingly awesome card here, is brand new from Pioneer Masters, Toil and Trouble. Let's talk about this card in depth for just a moment. So, Toil and Trouble here is a technically 6 mana card, but you can cast either side for 3 mana. If you're going to cast Toil, it's a sorcery side that allows a target player to draw 2 cards and lose 2 life. If you play the Trouble side, it is also a sorcery, and it reads, Trouble will deal damage to target player equal to the number of cards in that player's hand. And if you want to fuse them together for the full cost of 6, you can then play both sides. So this is what our finisher is going to look like. You can either sometimes punish your opponent by forcing him to draw cards. If we have to in a pinch, we can also draw cards if we need to. And of course, the dream scenario is by casting this for full price, you can make your opponent draw some cards, punish them for dealing that damage with the cards they have in hand, with our pingers out to then just close out the game, usually in one shot. As far as our mana base is concerned, this is a budget deck, so we're going to try to keep it as simple as possible. 6 swamps, 6 mountains, some foreboding ruins, which are technically, as I mentioned before, they are rares in paper, but at least in arena, they are uncommon, so we're going to take advantage of that. And finally, Maestro's Theaters. These also do synergize with Fatal Push to get the maximum value out of that card. Now, if you are interested in playing this in best of 3, here's what I would recommend for you. We're actually going to use a pseudo-transforming style of sideboard here. So what I mean by that is, with the Duresses in the main deck, we could then bring in more discard to then just strip our opponent's hand, as opposed to just punishing them for drawing a bunch of cards. So, by transforming the deck, you can then swap out some cards to bring in Bandit's talent to make them discard, and then eventually ping them as you keep leveling up the Bandit's talent to then hopefully draw some more cards, and then punish them by draining them out when they have no cards in hand. We're also going to have some extra removal. So we'll have Abrade here, mostly for artifact hate. We'll have Withering Torment here for enchantment hate, and Dreadboard here for planeswalker hate. We'll also then bring in one key edict here, Sheoldred's Edict, in case we do have opponents that have one single hexproof creature. We'll have a small little Wrath and Pyroclasm here. We will also be utilizing for extra discard Davriel's Rogue Shadow Mage here. Again, it does stack up well with Bandit's talent, so that's where we're going to throw it in there. And then finally, at the very bottom here, if your opponent is getting cheeky with life gain, we'll then have Tybalt Rakish Instigator to come in. And it can also make some tokens, which you can utilize, again, for sacrifice value. But otherwise, that is the whole game plan for you in a nutshell, everyone. I don't know about you, but I'm super jazzed to see how well we can punish our opponent with some of our cards. So without further ado, let's take this into the Explorer format right now and see how well it does. Alright, my fire friends, here we go. Can we punish our opponent for simply just drawing cards? Well, looking at our hand right now, we have some Duresses, which is really good in the early game, and also we have some ways of just drawing cards with what we have. Okay, this is good. I think we'll keep this hand. Again, we don't have any of our pingers, but that's perfectly fine because all we just need to do is just strip their hand right now with showing them a Duress. Show me what you got, opponents. Let's see. Okay. Oh, alright. So they're playing a Madness deck. Interesting. Grab the prize we'll throw away. At least with that out of the way, that's going to put them in a spot where they kind of don't really have an option just yet. Okay, Okiba, Reckoner Raid. Play the Mountain. Clockwork Percussionist. Swing here, down to 20. Duress again. We'll throw away the Fiery Temper. Can't play the Madness cost for it, so too bad, opponents. Life gain and drain us again. Okay, they make us lose 2. Very interesting little cheap deck here. This looks like something I would probably put together myself personally. Voldred Epicure. Ping our opponent for 1. Swing here with the Monkey. Down to 17. Okay, now if we could just get maybe like something like Sheoldred out, we should be okay. Okay. They got their Nezumi Road Captain out. Obviously no vehicles, but it's just meant to drain, so that's all they want it for. Light up the stage. Alright. What'd you hit, opponents? Okay, still more life gain and drain, but it's not the worst. We will Deadly Dispute here. Let's get rid of the Monkey, actually. So we're going to get 3 cards off of this, basically. A land? There we go. Alright, now we got the Sheoldred. Alright, now we're set. Here we go. Okay.
This is where the fun begins.
Swamp down. We will play Sheoldred. I don't know how you're going to stop a Sheoldred opponent, but good luck. Hope you pack some removal in your deck. Alms of the Vein. Wow, for full price too. Okay. I mean, they still have a high life total versus us, but this is perfectly fine. Oh my goodness. Scrawling Crawlers for days, everybody. Alright, Scrawling Crawler there. And Maestro's Theater. Stacking it instantly. We will get out a Mountain. And we'll go from here. Swing with Sheoldred. We're going to get a huge, huge swing right here. Back to in our favor. Alright, so with that. Ping away. That's 3 to your face. Alright, the game is now back in the middle. It still is anybody's game, technically, but we have definitely the edge here versus our opponents. Their deck is kind of cute, though. I do kind of like what they're trying to do with this, with the whole discard and everything. Down to 9. Bolt Wave. Well, again, they draw cards, that just punishes them. Doesn't hurt us at all. Okay, we get to draw some cards here. The drain and gain, everybody. I love this. Oh, man. Beautiful. Look at that. And we're back in action. There's nothing else our opponent can do here. We will Blood Tithe Harvester. You know what? At this point, fine. Let's get a little cheeky here. Throw away that land. We don't need it. Another Shield Rid. Beautiful. All right. With that, you know what? Swing here for the game. That's it. Easy win. There you go. There you go. Love to see it. Man, I mean, yes, Shield Rid alone is pretty strong, but either way, we still get the win. A win's a win, so I will take it. Okay, my fire friends, here we go. Can we punish our opponent for simply drawing a bunch of cards? Well, the good news is, in our hand right now, we have a pretty good variety of options here. We can have the Clockwork do some damage, Fatal Push and Duress are going to be disruption. Shield Rid will be able to finish off our opponent. If we can just get our ideal Toil and Trouble, this should be solid. I think we'll keep this for now. Right, Plains. It's not Shield Mage. Okay. I think I might know what they're trying to do here, so let's actually get a peek at what they're trying to do. Opponent, what do you got? Fighter class, okay. So they're an equipment style deck with artifacts. Interesting. Okay. And it looks like it's actually dwarves? Okay. Well, interesting choice. We'll see if this works out for our opponent. We're down to 18. Alright. We will play Mountain. Clockwork Percussionist. No attacks yet. Sword of Once in Future. Alright, so with that out of the way, now we can Fatal Push our way out of this. Magda's down. Wow, they actually did not swing. Interesting. Alright, well, that does buy us time. So we will put down a Mountain and pass. Okay, so if our opponent does swing, we can Deadly Dispute our way out of this. So this means they have protection from blue and black. Okay, so we can still block it, per se, to prevent the damage. We'll Deadly Dispute our way out of this. So we will be able to get 3 cards off of this, which is pretty nice. Ooh, there it is. Okay, so our Toil and Trouble is there. Oh man, we don't have enough mana though, so this is kind of awkward, but we're going to have to just kind of, I guess, just dish out some damage as is. Okay, another Shield Rid, but I guess that'll be helpful for later. Foreboding Ruins. I don't want this to go to waste, so we will hit our opponent here for 3. Down to 16. Not quite how I wanted to use it, but you get the idea. Toolcraft Exemplar. Magda number 2. Well, different Magda, but okay. Down to 16. They get to do some surveilling. Alright, we got Voldrin Epicure, so that's pretty nice. Shield Rid coming down. So Shield Rid at the very least will keep us at least stable for a while. We'll get out a Swamp this time. Gain some life. We'll sacrifice our one and only treasure, pinging our opponent for 1. We'll get a nice blood token. Okay, so with this plan, I'm not sure if our opponent has a way out of this, but at least for the time being, we can kind of do some blocking. Although, on the other hand, Staunch Shield Mage will be protected for a while from Shield Rid. Ooh, actually swapped it. Okay. We'll block with our Epicure, because we don't need it. Another Swamp. Not ideal, so I think we're going to have to do it this way. Deadly Dispute now. Draw 2. Stabilizes us for a bit. Gain life. We will reveal with that Clockwork Percussionist. And pass. So at the very least, we do have a clock on our opponent here, although it's not quite what we wanted, because all we just want to do is just hit our opponent with a Toil and Trouble. But let's see if we can find it, though. Okay. Let the monkey die. Razorkin. Okay, well, it is a pinger, so that does what we need. Okay, Battlehammer gets now card. Ooh, 2 Razorkin Needleheads. Better than 1. So let's see. 1. 2. Maestro Theater. Sacked immediately. Get another Mountain. No attacks. we hit our opponent for 4 without having to even do any swinging. Axe Guard Cavalry. Right, they get a pump, but we're still not out of this just yet because our opponent can still keep swinging here, which is going to be annoying. I just want to see if we can get off the combo. Just once. Come on, deck. Alright, they keep re-equipping. We have all the Shieldreds in the world. We don't need this many Shieldreds, unfortunately. But it is what it is, so we're just going to have to hold off. Our opponent is going to have to just do some more damage quick, though, because we are slowly but surely just pinging them out to death here. Down to 5. Down to 4. Down to 3. If nothing else, I do like what their Dwarf deck is doing. It is kind of cute, though. I will say that. Oh, wow. Big swing. Okay. Well, I mean, if that's how they want to do this, then this will block the Toolcraft. Shield Mage blocked. Double block to take it out. Do you have an answer, opponent? They have to have something in hand, otherwise they wouldn't be swinging this far. Boros Charm. Okay. I see. And I'm guessing that they will cast again? Yep. Okay, well, that's annoying.
Well, this stinks.
Dang. So we lost on that one. Unfortunate. Interesting surprise. Pretty spicy build our opponent had there, but that's okay. I was caught off guard, but that's fine, everybody. We'll definitely get him next time. For those that are unaware, this is now about several hours of me trying to get the combo off and ranked, and it wasn't working out. So maybe we can play unranked, and hopefully we can show you the combo in its full. So we'll keep this hand here. I really hope it will work this time around. I'm really kind of exhausted from trying to do this. Right. Undercity Sewers. Okay, got another Fatal Push. Maestro's Theater coming down. Okay, so based on what we have right now, we'll get a Swamp. It is tempting to have the Razorkin actually go out first, but with the Blood Tithe out, we also have options for Fatal Pushes. Right, Darkslick Shores. I was going to deduce. They make a token. Okay, Foreboding Runes is actually pretty good. So we will reveal our Mountain. Blood Tithe Harvester. We'll make a Blood Token. Even if we don't need those Fatal Pushes, now we do have an option to throw them away if we need to. Okay, Watery Grave. Opponent shocks themselves. Oh, okay. Interesting. So they will start making us discard cards, but that's okay. Clockwork Percussionist. So with this, Razorkin coming down. Down 15, opponent. Okay. Well, I guess they're a Surveil deck then, if that's the case. Alright. We lose a Razorkin, unfortunately. That's okay. Right. Shipwreck Marsh. Thought Erasure. So unfortunately, that does mean we will probably going to lose our Toil and Trouble or a Clockwork Percussionist because those actually do help move the game plan ahead. So we lose the Monkey. That means our opponent will bounce back to Disinformation Campaign. So we will get rid of a Fatal Push since they're mostly a control deck, and we'll draw into some more action. Okay, Scrawling Crawler is not the worst. So here's how we do this. The good news is we can still use Toil and Trouble here. We're just going to give our opponent a little bit of trouble, if you will. We'll punish them for having 5 in hand. Down to 7. Nice. Okay. We might be able to pull this off. Extinction Event. That's fine, actually. We don't care. Well, they actually have to use a whole Wrath on us for that one. Okay, Shockland. Maestro's Theater. Put down our Scrawling Crawler as our second option for pinging our opponent. Let's go ahead and get this time out. What do we get out here? I guess I'll get out a Mountain. Okay, opponent, do you have more removal? Because the good news, at least with this, is Go for the Throat does not hit our artifact creature. Scarab God. A little scary. That's actually not horrible for us, because we will ping our opponent here. And I think we got the win here, everybody. All right, so easy victory here. We'll put down the Monkey for no real reason. And then Toil and Trouble. So we have 2 ways of doing this. You either could make them draw a bunch and then make them lose life here, or you can just do one massive burn spell here. So the way we'll do this is, I think we'll just make them lose a bunch of life. Yeah, sure. We'll give them a bunch of cards. Here, opponent, have some cards. 3, 2, 1. Swing here. They can't block both. All right. And there you have it, everybody. Not the best way to pull off the combo, but you get the idea there. We were able to burn them out big for the first part of it, and the second time we cast it, we were able to force them to draw cards, and then burn them out right there on the spot. Alright, again, it wasn't the most flashiest thing, but it is so satisfying to pull off. Finally, we got that to finally work. And there you have it, everyone. So that was our Draw to Death deck for you in the Explorer format. And you tell me in the comments below, what do you think? Would you play this deck in any way, shape, or form? Truth be told, I'm not going to lie, I'm a little biased towards decks like this because I love just draining our opponent down to nothing. And I love burn spell, of course, effects. So this deck, of course, is definitely within my wheelhouse. Having said that, of course, even if you cannot do the Toil and Trouble combo as you saw today, you can still burn out your opponent by just slowly incrementing a lot of damage with Crawlers, Shieldreds, and Razorkin Needlehead. So I love what this deck is trying to do. Having said that, of course, we have to acknowledge the major weakness of the deck, and that mostly comes down to, of course, creature wraths, but specifically spot removal. If your opponent can take out any of your pingers, the deck's going to feel very clunky if they can just keep those key creatures off of the field. Now, despite all that, I would still highly recommend this deck because it is a lot of fun, as you saw today, with how we were able to perform. But if you still like the deck and you've made it this far into the video, give a shout out below because you are my true fiery friends. And as always, I will show you right now how you can upgrade the deck and make it even more awesome than it currently is. As far as upgrading the deck, here's what I would recommend for you. So first off, of course, Duress is going to go bye-bye, and you'll add in, of course, Thoughtseize. This is a much stronger discard spell, so that's pretty much a quintessential for the deck. Thankfully, of course, the entire deck can pretty much just maintain itself as is. You don't really have to change anything else. Of course, that means you will need to invest a lot more into a much more stronger mana base, and that's perfectly fine because that's mostly what you always want to do with any deck tech upgrade. With that, of course, you'll add in Hive of the Eye Tyrant, some Den of the Bugbears. We'll strip down a couple of swamps and mountains to make room for Blackleaf Cliffs and Blazemire's Verges, and of course Blood Crypts as your dual lands of choice. As far as upgrading the sideboard, it really comes down to your personal preference, but if you want to keep the transformative style, then definitely you can just maintain everything as is, and that's mostly how we're going to focus on it now. With that, of course, you'll just upgrade with rolling Vortex here. This gives you technically another type of pinger, if you will, and also with paying a little extra mana, you can punish your opponents, again, if they are trying to gain some life, and of course punishing anybody that tries to cast free spells. Liliana of the Veil will be also additional support for the discard abilities that it has, and also it's a great planeswalker that pretty much can kind of keep the board in control. And then finally, your extra Wrath is going to be upgraded to Slagstorm here. It does a little extra damage, but also you can flip it to then use it as a burn spell. Granted, it is expensive as a burn spell, but we want that flexibility for this style of deck. And with that all out of the way, here are my final thoughts that I want to give on the deck. Overall, I love what Rakdos midrange mostly does, but I do feel like the design space started feeling a little stale. So hopefully today we were able to pull off what is considered a slight little fresh coat of paint on an already established archetype, and I think we accomplished that pretty well today. So, if I were to put that another way, if you're a fan of the Rakdos midrange archetype, if you're a fan of pinging out your opponent, and if you're a fan of surprise victories where you can either force your opponent to take a ton of damage by either making them draw a bunch of cards or just doing a bunch of damage if they're holding a bunch of cards, then I would definitely say, give this deck a try, and I assure you, when you manage to then just keep pinging out your opponent with pinger after pinger, you're going to have a lot of fun doing so, and you'll be very surprised at how you can pull this off on a budget, and I assure you, you will definitely not be disappointed. That's all I have for you today. Thanks again for watching, everyone, and just remember that no matter what you do play in the game of life, always be sure to burn bright. Later!